Australia. Australia too came and took the cup away with the wing keel, which was a great innovation. It was not actually carried out to the high degree that was later on in 87 when the cup was won back. But she was the smallest 12 meter, as far as I know, that was ever built. She was just about 40, well, she was 23 tons, which is, again, the lightest one. Tiny thing compared to the behemoths that we were building in 70, spin on a dime, and utilize the attributes of this configuration in the fin. Part of that was to beat the measurement rule, but it also introduced a new technology that was based on that inverted taper was found in the MiG-15 wings of the big fighters in the Korean War. And that reverse taper reduced the interference drag in this region, and was not carried to the best extreme, which was later done in the Kookaburra and the Kiwi boats of 87, and the wing keels. Once we got supercomputers by this time, and of course this boat was aluminum, and later we went to glass when that became allowed under Lloyd's rules. Someone asked me earlier, why wood for heritage? Well, there were no scantlings permitted that allowed metal construction prior to 70 trials, and it was 3 months after our last race that aluminum was okayed by Lloyd's of London, who all the 12 meters were built under supervision of surveyors for London, Lloyd's of London, which had to do with the insurance aspect of things. Anyhow, there's a tiny little Australia 2, which was very thoroughly studied at later. Here's an interesting thing. The boys at the test tank told me, don't use a spade rudder, you're introducing a new leading edge and the induced drag associated with the loads on it. And they were wrong. Ben Lexand, who later on died, was a brilliant young man who designed this boat. So anyhow, that's how close we came. We could have lost the cup before, and it didn't. In afterlife, Heritage came to sail as an ocean racer. She set the record for the Mackinac race the last time until they made much larger lightweight boats. She went down to sail in the Antigua race meet, and she shown here with an ocean racing crew somewhere, I don't know where. But then here she is now. This is her jumping on top of Nefertiti. I think that's American Eagle over there. Yes, American Eagle. Over in there is Weather. He's stuck down inside. There's 4 of them. And they're racing at Newport. And I'm going up in June. Maureen and I are going up to go day sailing on Weatherly. I mean on Heritage, who's the owner, also in Columbia, so I'll get to see my old friend again. And they sail up there as day sailboats for tourists and enthusiasts. Okay, well this is a picture of an IOR boat. Of course, it's the last ocean racing boat that I designed. It's 60 feet, very thoroughly tank tested, and a good boat, very good boat. But that rule, the IOR rule, was an atrocious rule, pinched in the sterns and the other ends. And they were deep draft boats, which was quite impractical, I thought, for ocean racers who would have a destination somewhere or an afterlife. What do you do with the boat because I'm full of water? And anyway, here was, I brought this along for you to see. I was asked in about 1980, I got a telephone call from Kenneth Albury, who was, in those days, the exchequer for Her Majesty the Queen for the Bahama Islands. I think that's the same thing as Secretary of Treasury for the United States. But he was a great sailor and Olympic gold medalist or Olympic medalist. And he said, Charley, remember my uncle Everett Sands, who used to own Butler Sands. You all probably bought booze and perfume from him over there in the Bahamas. Anyhow, I want to know, would you design a native sloop for the Family Island Regatta? And I said, Kenneth, who'll be sailing that boat? And he said, oh, I sail it. And I said, well, then I can't risk my reputation. Well, the truth is, I didn't design it. I just supervised the design. And my oldest son, Charley, and a great young designer named Chuck Ville, who designs trawler yachts in Maryland, personally drew the lines, and we did the calculations together, and I coached them all along the way. And I said, you guys, I'm not paying you to do this. This is going to be probably your last chance to design a boat to be built of wood. And that's a lot different than designing a yacht to be built of fiberglass. And so they got down on the floor. We laid out the drawings for a full size on the sail-off floor, and took all these wooden boats and were designed to the so-called Scottish system, which was a real tour de force in spherical geometry or descriptive geometry. Well, in any case, they did this work, laid it all out on a Bristol board, and I rolled it up, put it in my airplane, flew it over to Walter Archer, who built her down on Shirley Street in downtown Nassau, and her name was Kangaroo. And I think I had more fun sailing on this than almost anything I ever sailed in my life. So, anyhow, this is now that my late wife Sally passed on years ago. I took up art because I never had at the time an opportunity to really pursue it, although I was very interested. That was my first painting. And here's another quick painting. Here's my latest endeavor. This fellow right here is a great artist, Christopher Still, who is a muralist, among other things, and a wonderful artist, and a great fellow. He's been a mentor to me in painting. He got a commission to design, to paint a large painting for the Airside Sea Terminal that just opened April a couple of years ago. And it's about right on 17 by 20, something like that, painting from the days of the old air terminal, and it was to commemorate the inauguration of the Hillsborough County Aviation Authority. Together with that painting, he had been required, as part of the contract, to come up with a modern sculpture for hanging over the Starbuck Emporium there in that terminal, which is a beautiful modern terminal. Anyhow, this is what came out of it. That is an aeronautically inclined work of art. Christopher came up with the concept for it. I did the engineering and structural aspects of it. Would you believe that thing only weighs a ton? And it now hangs 16.5 feet off the floor of the concourse in that terminal. Anyway, Christopher and I have painted together frequently, and he asked if I participate in assisting as a design assistant.
That's the wing section?
Yes, that is the. Oh, that is interesting. That wing section is a replica of a rib that came out of my Beechcraft Stagger wing, which used that wing section, and that's the NACA, old NACA, before it became NASA. And there probably are more aircraft flying in the world today, or have flown in the world, using that family of airfoils. That's the NACA 2300 series, and that's a 015, which the Wildcat and the Hellcat, many of the torpedo bombers, and many airliners, and many jet flyers, early jets had before we had the modern, so-called modern airfoils. But it's historical in that sense, and it was chosen. The wing ribs back here are the old Benoit flying boat replica ribs, which were commemorative of the beginning of passenger aviation, commercial passenger aviation in Tampa Bay from St. Pete to Tampa. Here it is. We got just after daybreak, the evening we hung it. It had come in through one of the windows in pieces and reassembled it. And its name was Q. And in aerodynamic and some of the engineering sciences, Q is the expression for, short expression for dynamic pressure. Dynamic pressure appears in so many equations, and it was evolved originally successfully by one of the Bernoulli family. There were many Bernoulli scientists, so that family just seemed to sprout them. But Bernoulli's equation is Q equals, we got Q, sorry to see that, Q in the uppercase, it's really lowercase for the proper notation, is 1/2 rho, Greek letter rho, v squared in velocity of feet per second. And then that equation is used in most of the aerodynamic equations that permitted accurate calculation of performance parameters of a flying body or an aerospace vehicle, and many other things in science. But he discovered that while he became a doctor, and people still, back in the days they were doing vivisection. He was a Swiss doctor and studied in Paris, and he was actually puncturing an artery in a living human being when he discovered the idea for this equation. It's amazing how it all happens. Well, anyhow, I'm getting close to the end here, folks. I'm busy writing these days a history of the Morgan Yacht Corporation, which, for the sake of those that are interested in corporate development, bootstrapping the company up from peanuts to being acquired by a multinational conglomerate, having a public offering. It's quite an exciting story. It happened very quickly. It does deal a lot with the establishment of our marketing concepts, the establishment of our dealer organization, and our advertising campaigns and our theorems for that, and the financing of it all. So one of these days you'll be able to see that, well, maybe in the next year, on the web. We're publishing it free rather than trying to go through the process. Some other things, for those of you who know Morgan Yachts and so on, they're scattered all over the world. The sun never sets on a Morgan Yacht. There's always one somewhere around the globe. And I receive email and or hits from it's just pretty astounding to me. I didn't realize that the some 8,000 boats or so that were built under that marker, how far scattered they are. Anyway, that's it. And I'll be happy to take questions. If we can get the lights again.